Economics and business editor Liam Halligan.
Well, thank you for joining us, Liam. So tell us, what are the latest economic developments? We now have Rishi Sunak as the Prime Minister. Are the markets now feeling more confident?
Well, they are to a degree, and of course political analysts want to think it's all about the politics, and it is a bit about the politics, but not entirely about the politics. As Tom said there, the pound is now back up at $1.16. It hasn't been there since mid-September, and gilt yields have fallen at the weekend, at the height of the Tory turmoil, when it looks as if there'll be another drawn-out leadership campaign, Boris Johnson warring with Rishi Sunak. It was costing the government 4.1% a year to borrow for 10 years. This minimum borrowing cost, the gilt yield, ripples out across the economy, of course, impacts mortgages and other personal loans. It's now 3.6. It just dipped below 3.6. That's a major move. That's partly, though, because of the fact that the government's energy price cap could end up being a lot cheaper than we otherwise thought. I've got a graphic here. Let's just take a look at the wholesale gas price if we can.
Wow.
You see there, I'm going to have to, we'll remove the strap. Now, GBNews listeners on radio will have to trust me on this, but what this shows is on the left-hand side there, that's February. That is the price of gas on European wholesale markets below €100 per megawatt hour. It then spikes up. That's the war in Ukraine. That's Putin invading Ukraine. It then goes down a bit when everyone realises, oh, it's OK, gas is still being pumped. But then it ramps up again, that big peak in the middle of the summer. That's when everybody was stockpiling gas. That's when people were realising, crikey, this war's going to go on a long time.
This is when we were talking about bills going up to £6,500.
Absolutely. So that big spike there on the right-hand side of the screen, that is European wholesale gas at €350 per megawatt hour. Absolutely massive. It was at that point that people were talking about, if you try and hold down the gas price, if you implement this energy price cap, it could cost 150 billion, 250 billion pounds. People just plucking numbers out the air because no one knew. And at that time, some of us were saying, actually, wholesale gas prices are likely to fall from this point. It could be a lot cheaper. And what happened yesterday, Tom, is the European wholesale gas price fell below €100 per megawatt hour, down from 350 for the first time since before the war in Ukraine. Now, that's still roughly twice what they've been over the previous 10 years. These gas prices are still elevated, but this is a chink of light for two reasons. It's a chink of light for the government because if this energy price cap isn't going to cost them tens, hundreds of billions, suddenly the markets are much happier about their potential borrowing costs. And be in no doubt, what really spooked the markets about Trussonomics was the energy price cap. It was not the lowering the top rate of tax, as every Tom, Dick and Harry in politics wanted to
That would cost, what, $2 billion?
$2 billion out of total government revenue of $900 billion.
But what does this imply then? If prices for the wholesale price of gas was up at 350, it's now just dipped below 100, less than a third. How much does that imply the energy price cap will cost the government?
It might be, incredibly, that the energy price cap costs almost nothing.
Wow.
Because the price cap has been set for an average family to be about £3,500. The government cost is if they have to subsidise.
And it may not reach that.
And it may not reach that. I mean, it is above it a bit. It's costing the government money now because it's started, the subsidy. But if the government sort of quotes making money out of the scheme in weeks and months to come, look, but all this, what people want to know is what this means for their bills, right?
Yes.
At the moment, it doesn't mean anything for their bills because I imagine because these gas prices could spike up again if we get another real flare-up in the geopolitics between Russia and the West, and we get, sabotage of pipelines from Norway to the UK. I'm not saying that will happen, but clearly that is possible, given what happened to the Nord Stream 2 pipeline between Germany and Russia across the Baltic Sea. I think the cap will stay in place till April. But what it does mean, if these lower gas prices are sustained, suddenly Rishi Sunak's a lucky man and the government's finances look a lot better than we thought. And suddenly the possibility of blackouts this winter is a lot lower. Now, it's been a mild October. That's helped to drive down these European gas prices. European countries, to a greater extent than us, have a lot of gas in storage. Our storage facilities are very, very limited. But in the here and now, it looks as if, come the spring, we may see gas prices falling again. We may see energy bills falling again. There may be light at the end of this inflationary tunnel if these falls in wholesale gas continue.